If you're a theater writer, you know that the protagonist is the most important character to get right in your story. And you've put in work. You've given them a want, ideals, hell, maybe even a tragic backstory. Sorry, Mom and Dad, shouldn't have taken a shortcut through that alley. But for some reason, they're still falling flat. Why is that? In this video, we're gonna break down 3 things that your protagonist needs to be more engaging. They need to be 1, active, 2, resourceful, and 3, they gotta have a superpower. And by superpower, I don't necessarily mean that they need to be able to crawl up walls or shoot fire out of their armpits. Those are all just cherries on top of the pie. But don't worry, I'll explain what I mean later. And to keep it fun, I'm gonna use a mixture of film, TV, and theater characters as reference. My name is Jesse Hamsch. I'm a composer, lyricist, and playwright, and I have an MFA in musical theater writing. I also run a free school community called Show Lab that's just for theater writers. All right, getting into it. Number 1, a protagonist should be active. Of the 3 things we're gonna talk about, this one is the most fundamental. A protagonist makes plot happen. They're the ones in the driver's seat that are pushing the story along. For a great example of an active protagonist, let's look at Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games. I'm doing a lot of squinting today. Like it says in millions of women's Tinder bios, Katniss is not like other girls. Through the Hunger Games novels and film franchise, the world changes from one of subjugation by the upper crust to one of liberation and freedom. And it's all because of one character's actions. When her sister Primrose's name is drawn to represent District 12 in the Hunger Games, Katniss shouts, "I volunteer," as tribute. Let's be clear, in the history of the Hunger Games, volunteering has always been an option, but no one's done it. And for good reason. Most of those kids get killed, but Katniss can't let that happen to her sister. She has to do something. And think about it. Author Susan Collins could have just had Katniss's name be drawn. But it's important that Katniss makes this first active choice because everyone in her district sees, and she becomes a symbol. In fact, she's the reason that all of the districts end up rising up against the upper class. Later, when she's doing her evaluation for the sponsors, she shoots an arrow through an apple in a pig's mouth. The game maker and the sponsors are ignoring her after she misses her first shot, so she does something that gets their attention. We even find out later that she says she wasn't really thinking, she just had to do something. And yeah, she could have gotten into a lot of trouble by firing an arrow past a bunch of sponsors. But no, they respect the hustle. And later, partly driven by emotion and partly driven strategically to gain sympathy from the viewers, she kisses Peeta. Acting doesn't always mean that they're thinking strategically. In fact, usually it's the opposite. While everybody else is paralyzed thinking of all of the options, the protagonist is doing something. They operate partly on impulse and instinct. All right, number 2, they need to be resourceful. Resourcefulness is knowing what's available to you and taking advantage of it. Resourceful characters see opportunities that others don't. For this example, we're gonna take possibly the most resourceful character in all of television history. Walter Eugenius White. I don't think that's his middle name. So Walter is smart, really smart. And he's in a world surrounded by violent, powerful, often unhinged characters. But Walter knows how to leverage every situation to his benefit. My favorite example of this is season 1, episode 6. Walter's chemotherapy bills are stacking up and he can't really pay them. They're making meth, but they can't quite distribute it as fast as they need to. So they hire Tuco, who is Tuco for Cocoa Puffs. Tuco is Ice-T's 99 Problems. He's crazy. After their initial meeting, where Walt insists they're paid up front, Tuco takes their meth and beats the living crap out of Jesse. Oh, poor Walter, what are you gonna do, cry about it? No, he doesn't do that. Walt comes back and demands $50,000 to go into business. Tuco laughs in his face and basically calls him an idiot. He says something along the lines of, "You see me take your meth, beat the crap out of your guy, and now you bring me more meth?" But yeah, Walter didn't bring meth. Walter takes out a clear crystal, which turns out to be fulminated mercury, throws that John against a wall, and explodes the whole dang thing. Kaboom! It's gone! Zoop. Walter White has more balls than the YMCA. Walter White has more balls than an NBA storage locker. Walter White has more balls than a McDonald's play pit. I think I have one of them. And Tuco, whose renter's insurance just went through the roof, basically just says, all right, man, game recognized game. Lastly, number 3, protagonists need a superpower. Again, this doesn't need to be a supernatural ability. It's just a skill or quality that makes the protagonist uniquely qualified for the story at hand. For this one, we're gonna look at the musical/film Legally Blonde. Elle Woods has a few superpowers that are working for her. The more tangible one is that she is wildly knowledgeable about the world of fashion and beauty. This comes in clutch when Elle catches Brooke Wyndham's stepdaughter, Chutney. Yeah, Chutney. They went with Chutney. She catches the puffy-haired fruit relish in a bold-faced lie, simply due to her knowledge of perm maintenance. So I saw this movie when it came out, and I swear I've never forgotten the line, ammonium thioglycolate.
At the risk of deactivating the ammonium thioglycolate?
The other superpower Elle has is arguably more influential in the story, and that's her unceasing kindness. Because the world of Harvard is depicted here as a cutthroat, dog-eat-dog world. And Elle doesn't eat dogs. She carries them in little purses. Seriously, Elle doesn't see a reason why you would be cutthroat at all. She's the head of her sorority, and the idea of sisterhood and lifting up your peers is integral to who she is. Elle can't stop being kind any more than she can stop knowing about fashion. It's just who she is. And those qualities change the world around her. So yes, it's great for your character to have a want. It's great for them to have ideals, and sure, you can kill as many family members as you want. Those are the surface level things that we engage with in the story. But the qualities that permeate throughout the entire narrative, activity, resourcefulness, and superpowerdom. This doesn't mean that your protagonist isn't going to grow throughout your story. They're still going to make the wrong choices sometimes, but they're going to fail forward. So yeah, try adding those qualities to your protagonist and see what it does for your story. If you want to dive deeper into these conversations, you can find me in my free school group, Show Lab. It's free for all theater writers, and it's a great place to hang out. And if you like this content and you want to see more about it, just, like, subscribe, hype, or whatever. I feel them all like little virtual kisses. No, seriously, it's a free thing you can do, and it is incredibly helpful. Theater writing YouTube is a very, very specific niche, so you watching right now, you have a lot of power. Lastly, if there are any topics you want me to cover in the future, just comment them down below. For example, I did a video about exposition that you can see right here. All right, thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. I gotta go figure out how to make some fulminated mercury for a friend. Okay, bye. Uniquely adept at the... For this one, we're gonna look at the musical and film. Those are all just cherries on top of the pie.
Those are all just cherries on top of the pie. Hey, I'm Patrick Warburton. Yeah, he's my